Let's go back to school in this episode of Better Images. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is JB here at Websites for Beginners, and we are going to look at something that you are probably familiar with, but this will lead into a few more episodes on which we will look carefully into resolution and what I often refer to as a static and responsive image. And I'm not talking now about mobile and tablets. I'm talking about images that have to grow as your display grows, or images who just remain the same regardless of how big the display of the laptop or desktop is you are using. But let's leave that for later and let's talk about pixels, and that's what this episode is all about. And I think you all have a very good idea of what a pixel is. Pixel, of course, stands for picture element, and we know that whenever we work with a digital image, they are comprised out of these little dots that we know so fondly as pixels. And together, as they come together and we stand further back, we begin to form an image, and finally we get to the point where we think it is reality. What is reality at the end of the day? So this image that I have here consists out of 1920 pixels all the way from the left to the right, and that is the width. And then it consists out of 1080 pixels all the way from the top to the bottom, and we refer to that as the height. We care a lot about the width because a website scrolls from top to bottom, so we don't really care about how high images are, but we do care about how wide they are because our screen is limited from left to right. We don't scroll from left to right on the screen, not like we did back in the 90s where we had no choice, but we do scroll from top to bottom and bottom to up. When we talk about images, in many cases when it comes to website design, we often just give you one value, and that will be the width. Yes, sometimes the height is important, but in most cases we don't even think of it. We set the aspect ratio, and then we only care about the width. What is the resolution of the width? In this case, 1920 pixels. In this episode, there are two takeaways for you regarding pixels. The first one is that when we talk about resolution and size and pixels, the first one is about the image. Like in this case, this image is 1920 pixels wide. The second thing that we consider is the width of the monitor, the display. Here I have a high-resolution monitor. The width of the display is 2560 pixels. That means all the way from this side to this side, there are 2560 pixels. A HD monitor is 1920 pixels, all the way from here, all the way over here. You can clearly see that the higher resolution monitor is larger than our HD monitor. Another format that's very popular is the 1440, 1440 pixels. We didn't talk now about images, we talk now about the resolution of these monitors. And we have these three various monitors. We have the 2560 in the back, the 1920, the 1920 in the middle, and the 1440 in the front. And that is the resolution size of the monitors, also measured in pixels. And that's where we will pause this video. We have learned about pixels today. They are a pixel element. They're a little dot that makes up your pictures. And we saw that you can have a picture of 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels height. And this, of course, you can vary. You can have it smaller and you can have it larger. We also know that displays also are measured within pixels. You have very high resolution displays at 2560 pixels. Then we have HD display at 1920 pixels. And then we have a very standard one at 1440 pixels. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the fact that certain images will grow with your display and others will not. The canvas wrapper. And I want you to think about that because I will point out something now which you can go mull over and we will tackle in the next episode. Look at these three screens. Clearly one is larger than the other one. So shouldn't the larger monitor display the contents larger across board? For example, let's look at this lady over here. You can clearly see that she's quite large in the 2560 pixels. 1920, she still stretches all the way over that screen's display. Same in 4040. But look what happens to these images down here. They didn't grow. The white space here just got less and less and less. But these images remained exactly the same size, whether it was a super high resolution monitor or a 1440. So one image grew and scaled with the monitor, other images didn't. Think about that and we'll talk about it in the next episode.